Somewhere in Mayfair right now, behind a door with no sign on it, a conversation is happening that will never be reported. Not because it is illegal, but because the people having it have paid a great deal of money to ensure it stays private. Brexit was plotted in one of these rooms. Harry and Meghan had their first date in one of these rooms. The current King of England held his stag night in one of these rooms. And a former Prime Minister used one of these rooms to offer private access to himself and his Chancellor for £250,000 a year. These are Britain's private members' clubs. And today, we're going inside every single one of them. We will show you the club where a member once bet £3,000 on which raindrop would slide down a window first. The club where kitchen workers earned so little they had to go on strike. The club whose 14,000-person waiting list has been closed for years. And the club, at number 1 on this list, where no photography is allowed, no member lists are ever published, and where 250 senior hedge fund managers, 3 former prime ministers, and a sitting member of the royal family all hold the same membership card. Stay until the end. Number 1 will change how you think about power in this country. The private clubs where Britain's rich make deals the one rule that governs all of them. Before we enter the first club, you need to understand what these places actually sell. Most people think private clubs sell luxury, the wine list, the leather chairs, the wood-paneled dining rooms, the discreet service. None of that is the real product. Every private members club in London, from the oldest and most aristocratic to the newest and most fashionable, exists to solve one specific problem for Britain's wealthiest people. How do you guarantee that everyone in the room is someone you can trust? In a hotel, anyone with money can sit next to you. In a restaurant, a journalist with a recording device can book the next table. In a business meeting, there are lawyers and minutes and paper trails. But in a private club, the filter has already been applied before you walk through the door. The room has been pre-curated. The conversation is already protected. The relationship is already trusted. That is what these clubs sell. Not food, not wine, not heritage. Access to a room where everyone else has already been approved. With that in mind, let us enter the clubs. In order of age. Building to the most powerful at number 1. 8 different kinds of power. 1 city. White's St. James's Street. Founded 1693. Members include King Charles III and Prince William. We begin with the oldest private members club on earth. White's was not founded as a gentleman's club. It was founded as a hot chocolate shop in Mayfair in 1693 by an Italian immigrant named Francesco Bianco. Within a generation, it had become the most exclusive social institution in Britain. By the 1780s, White's had become the unofficial headquarters of the Tory party. Prime ministers gathered here. Dukes gambled here. The most powerful men in Britain ate here and spoke here and planned here, while the country they governed had no idea what was being said inside. The club's betting book is one of the most revealing documents in British social history. Members wagered on everything: on which political bill would pass Parliament, on whether a friend would marry that year, on the outcome of the French Revolution. Lord Alvanley famously bet £3,000 on which of 2 raindrops would reach the bottom of a window first. Today, White's has approximately 1,500 members. King Charles III holds membership. Prince William was entered as a member shortly after his birth. The king held his stag night at the club the night before his wedding to Princess Diana in 1981. A prospective member needs a proposer, 2 seconders, and the support of between 35 and 40 existing members who must sign a book. The primary quality required, in the official language of the club, is whether the candidate is, and I quote, a good chap. Women have never been admitted as members. The only woman ever welcomed inside was the late Queen Elizabeth II, on 2 occasions, in 1991 and 2016. In 2018, a group of female protesters called Women in Whites attempted to enter. One dressed as a man to gain access. They were removed. David Cameron was a member for 15 years before resigning in 2008, specifically because the club refused to admit women. His father, Ian Cameron, had been the club's chairman. White's does not need to advertise. It does not need to explain itself. The people it wants to reach already know it exists. Brooks's St. James's Street, just down the road from White's, Brooks's was founded in 1764 by 27 prominent Whig nobles as the political counterpoint to White's Tory establishment. The two clubs sat 300 meters apart on the same street and ran British political life between them for over a century. Prime ministers were members of one or the other. Some particularly socially nimble gentlemen managed to belong to both. What Brooks's represents, and what its continued existence proves, is that Britain's elite have always understood something modern democracies like to pretend is not true, that political power and social power are the same thing, dressed differently. In Brooks's dining room, political strategy looked like dinner. Alliance building looked like friendship. Opposition to government policy looked like a private conversation between two men who had known each other since university. It still does. The Carlton Club. Pall Mall, founded 1832, describes itself as the original home of the Conservative Party, before Conservative Central Office even existed. Founded in 1832 by Tory peers, MPs, and major donors, the Carlton Club was not a social club with political connections. It was a political operation with a dining room. In March 2012, 180 years after the Carlton Club was founded, it became the backdrop for one of the most damaging political scandals of David Cameron's premiership. The Conservative Party's co-treasurer at the time, Peter Cruddas, was secretly recorded by Sunday Times undercover reporters, offering exclusive private access to Cameron and his chancellor, George Osborne. The price, £250,000 per year. For that, donors were offered the opportunity to, in Cruddas's own recorded words, come to number 10 and input into what we're doing. Cruddas resigned. The recordings were published. Cameron apologized. But the deeper truth that money buys access to power in Britain, and that private clubs are where that transaction is quietly normalized, was never really reckoned with. The Reform Club, Pall Mall, founded 1836. Once the Liberal Party HQ, now politically neutral. Its building inspired Vernet's Phileas Fogg. The Reform Club was built for people who believed Britain needed to change. Founded in 1836 for radicals and Whigs, who had just forced through the Great Reform Act, which extended voting rights to a significant portion of the male population for the first time. It later became the political headquarters of the Liberal Party. Its magnificent Pall Mall building, designed by Charles Barry, who also designed the Palace of Westminster, became so famous that Jules Verne used it as the starting point for Around the World in 80 days. Phileas Fogg bets £20,000 at the Reform Club that he can circumnavigate the globe in 80 days. Today, the Reform Club is politically neutral and admits both men and women, making it an outlier among the older St. James's establishments. It also has a library that is open to members around the clock, a swimming pool, and bedrooms for members who need to stay in London. For many senior figures in British public life, the Reform Club is effectively a second home, a permanent London base that costs less than a Mayfair hotel and comes with rather better conversation. The Athenaeum, Pall Mall, founded 1824, for intellectual power. Members have included Dickens, Darwin, Faraday, and Thackeray. Not all power in Britain is political or financial. Some of it is intellectual. The Athenaeum was founded in 1824 for, in its own words, literary and scientific men and followers of the fine arts. It attracted Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin, Michael Faraday, and William Thackeray as members. The Bishop of Durham is traditionally a member. So are the heads of Oxford and Cambridge colleges. What the Athenaeum represents is a version of power that Britain's establishment has always been careful to cultivate alongside its political and financial power. The power of ideas, of intellectual credibility, of being the kind of institution that the people who shape public opinion belong to. In Britain, the aristocracy long ago understood that controlling the conversation about culture, who is published, whose science is respected, which ideas are considered serious, is as valuable as controlling the land. The Athenaeum is where that control was socially cemented, generation after generation. Annabelle's Berkeley Square, founded 1963, 14,000 person waiting list, founded for £175,000, now costs £55 million to operate. Annabelle's broke every rule of traditional clubland when it opened in the basement of a Mayfair gambling den in 1963. It was glamorous, not austere. It admitted women. It mixed aristocrats with celebrities, politicians with artists, old money with new. It was the first nightclub of its kind in London, and it immediately became the center of British high society. Mark Burleigh borrowed £175,000 to start it. Named it after his wife, Lady Annabel, who said she was not initially fond of having a nightclub named after her. Burleigh founded it with 500 members who paid 5 guineas a year for life. Those founding members still pay £5 a year today. By 2018, Annabelle's had a waiting list of 14,000 prospective members. The club was relocated from its original basement at number 44 Berkeley Square to a Georgian townhouse 2 doors down, number 46, at a refurbishment cost of £55 million. It now has 4 restaurants and 7 bars. King Charles is reported to have been a regular in his younger years. Princess Diana frequented it, Mick Jagger, Kate Moss, Rihanna. The Queen herself visited, the only nightclub she is ever known to have entered. In terms of raw social power, the ability to put the right people in the same room at the same moment, Annabelle's has no equal in Britain. 5 Hertford Street, Mayfair, and founded 2012. Brexit was plotted here. Harry met Meghan here. No photos, no member list, no apologies. Here is where we need to slow down, because 5 Hertford Street is different from every other club on this list. It was founded in 2012 by Robin Burleigh, son of Mark Burleigh, founder of Annabelle's, in a 5-floor townhouse in Mayfair, 800 meters from Buckingham Palace. The club has no visible signage on the street. It has an almost militant no photography policy. Its membership list has never been publicly confirmed, and it has become, in the decades since it opened, the most politically influential private room in Britain. 5 Hertford Street was where Arron Banks and Nigel Farage plotted Brexit campaign strategy. It was where Boris Johnson and Priti Patel met. It was described by political analysts as Brexit headquarters before Brexit was even called Brexit. One writer in The Spectator called it a libertarian circle of the Conservative Party, edgy, ambitious, and absolutely certain about what it wanted. It was also, according to reports, the location of Harry and Meghan's first date. Leonardo DiCaprio has been photographed leaving its unmarked door. Harry Styles, Margot Robbie. Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice are regulars at Lulu's, the private nightclub in the basement. Membership requires 2 letters of recommendation from existing members and an interview with the club secretary. The founding membership was assembled by Burleigh personally. Beginning with 500 people, primarily Old Etonians and Marlburians, the finance and aristocratic establishment of Britain's elite schools. Annual membership costs approximately £1,800, but money is entirely beside the point. People on the waiting list for 5 Hertford Street have offered vastly more and been declined. The filter here is not financial, it is social. And in 2023, the kitchen workers at 5 Hertford Street went on strike. They were earning below the London living wage, less than £11 an hour, while serving members who collectively manage hundreds of billions in assets. The club, Britain's most exclusive, most politically connected private room, did not increase their pay for over a year. That contrast tells you everything about what these clubs really are. The filter works perfectly for the people at the top of it. It works rather differently for the people at the bottom. 8 clubs, 330 years of private rooms. What connects all of them, from White's in 1693 to 5 Hertford Street in 2012, is not the wine or the leather chairs or the heritage. It is the same function, executed in different eras with different social codes. The function of providing a room where the people who run Britain can talk to each other without anyone watching. Britain has spent 300 years building democratic institutions, a parliament, a free press, an independent judiciary, specifically to make power visible and accountable. And in exactly the same 300 years it has built these rooms, specifically to make the most important conversations invisible and unaccountable. That is not a conspiracy. It is something more uncomfortable than a conspiracy. It is a system that works perfectly for the people inside it, and that most people outside it do not even know exists. Next week on Blood and Sterling, we leave the clubs. We go to the streets they sit on. 15 London streets where Britain's wealthiest families have been hiding their fortunes for centuries. Every street has a dynasty behind it. Every gate has a story. Subscribe. New episode every week.